take me out. Floating so high, take me out, take me out. I'll be ready to hold you close. I'll be ready, so let's go. I'm feeling alive. Take me out, take me out.
Hi guys, welcome to a Scalar 2.5 live stream. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Going to be going through Scalar 2.5 really and having a look at some of the new features that we've got. I think we're probably, hopefully you can see my scalar there, and you can see already we're starting to use a new skin. There's a bunch of new features. I have made a video, so the content today is pretty much going to be similar to the video, but I just want to maybe go through using it in a bit more of a live, unplanned context, if you like. Joshua Casper is kind enough to be helping us with this live stream, and is also feeding me some questions. So I'm happy to take and answer any questions. There's already a few up. Monterey compatibility, I guess that's a good question. As per most plugin manufacturers, you know, we're not advising anyone upgrade to Monterey. Unfortunately, Apple's not been great with MIDI effects compatibility on M1 machines. Just as everything's running absolutely fine natively with Big Sur and 10.7, Logic 10.7, along comes Monterey and 10.7.1, and there are some issues with M1 native compatibility. Again, Rosetta's fine. So yeah, we don't advise upgrading to Monterey, as no plugin manufacturers do as yet, but we'll get to that. But Big Sur, M1, everything else, fantastic. Okay, there's a couple other questions, but I want to just quickly have a look at Scalar and what's new in 2.5. Mainly it's suggest mode, the guitar features, and the all new content. There's lots of new sounds, so if I quickly flick over to my full screen view, you can see that I've got a that side with my daughter's Love Heart there on the Rhodes. It's one of my favourite Rhodes. There's a few in the rooms next door, but we've multi-sampled that one and created this lovely patch here in Scalar. So there's lots of new sounds. In fact, there's the vintage keys, and because we're really focusing on guitars, there's a lovely steel acoustic, retro, and electric guitar. Yeah, the main new features, if I just give us a quick overview before I start kind of demonstrating a few of them, the main new features is the suggest mode button down here. Now, with Scalar, to kind of come up with chord progressions, you've always been able to flick through, find a scale, flick through songs. Whilst we're here, the pop ballads, pop rock, contemporary R&B, and deep house chord sets are all new. Excuse me. I love those chord sets. They're really nice. Created by artists, which is really, really cool. And then of course we've got our usual artist chord set. So you can always start by pulling up a scale and feeding either standard chords from that scale. And now we've got something called suggest mode. Now suggest mode suggests chords. Now I want to stress that there are hundreds of MIDI assist plugins and standalone apps that suggest chords, and they do that very much on basic theory. And me personally, when I'm writing tunes, I just want to be in the mindset of being creative. I don't want to look at chord charts and start thinking. So there's many other really good apps that will just throw up chords and off you go, and you're kind of exploring. But for me, that's a bit of a detour. And I think Ed and Edward, who's the other co-developer or co-founder of Scalar with me, I've always wanted is that Scalar is a program that kind of works and keeps you being really creative. It just keeps you in your compositional or production bubble. So we've tried to keep things simple here, and we've tried not to just feed you standard chords which are aligned with traditional theory. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is the first thing we do is we take the voicing of your original chord. So let's say if I go and do it another way, let's come back to the main view, and instead of triads, I'm going to say call up sevenths. Yeah, so there I've got a C major seventh. Now, sorry, if you see me looking at my phone, I'm just checking that Joshua's not sending me any messages or telling me that anything's wrong or sending me any questions, because I'm going to be looking at questions to answer. So now I've got the C major seventh. If I go back to suggest mode, you'll see that straight away it's gone, well, okay, David's got this chord in there voiced this way. I'm going to suggest some other chords. Now, in suggest mode, there are two ways to work, or two modes. There's tonal and there's per scale. So we prioritize tonal because tonal is very unique to Scalar and very different to the way anything else works. So what tonal does is it says, I'm going to ignore the scale. So here we've got the C major scale. I'm going to ignore it, and I'm going to just find relationships that, I being the machine of Scalar, that work. And that might be voicing relationships between chords. That might be modulation related relationships that might be scale relationships, or more exclusively to scalar. And it's amazing the way the dev team have done this. They've asked scalar, when we're going into tonal mode, to analyze the internal chord sets. And what's really cool about that is the internal chord sets are written for scalar by artists, so they're unique to us. So that means we're throwing up unique suggestions. Now, what does it mean to you as an artist or a composer? I think we've found the feedback to be often when we're in, say, let's go to per scale mode, and that's going to give us the chords unique in a scalar way, but that fit to the scale. Yeah. The nice thing about tonal mode is often, because we're all naturally musically able, often we're trying to think of a chord and you're just going through your diatonics or your standard scale and you're like, that's not what I'm thinking of. And tonal mode allows us. So you see I'm clicking on all the grey chords and they all fit. And that's really cool because you can, if I do this progression, say, suddenly I'm making a tune that's completely unique. Now, if I want to do that, let's say I want to pull in that D major 7th like that, scalar will continue to analyze your chord progression and go on. So now, again, we're seeing grey, so that means we're not in the scale. What scale are we in? Well, that's the great thing here, is there's an auto detect mode. And what that does is that says I'm going to always constantly analyze what's going on in what we call section C down here. And I'm going to update the scales that you could be in. So, okay, cool. I like this. Yep. Okay, so now it's updated. It's saying now you're in the D major scale. Yep. Or it could be in F sharp, Phrygian, B minor. And what's great about that is, let's say I go, okay, cool. Yep. I'm creating a unique chord progression. I want to stick to the scale, but actually I want to start being in B minor scale or D major, doesn't matter, but I can flick, or let's say A mixolydian. So I can go over to A mixolydian and now it'll start giving me those chords. And at any stage I can go, oh, I really did like what I was hearing when we were first on that C major. So I can come back to it, click the little flag, which actually says suggest on the top left-hand side. And I can go into tonal mode and then I can see the chords that it was originally offering me. So yeah, really, I mean, that's just a very cool, straightforward chord progression, So yeah, now let's say, cool, I've got that chord progression. What other chords could I fill in without looking around? There is a pattern option here, and if I click pattern, it says, would you want me to just suggest you all new chords, which works nicely, but the real value for me is fill. So it's going to complete that chord progression. So here we go. What's it done? It's given me these next 3 chords. No idea what it's going to give me. Yeah, really nice. Internal vintage keys, straightforward, and then you have, that's all without voice grouping on. You then got the option of turning the voice grouping on. Yeah, so that's basically the introduction to Scalar 2.5 and the suggest mode. I want to just use it probably a bit more in context now. I'm just going to quickly have a look at some questions. What are Scalar's capabilities in being able to change keys during chord progressions or transition from one key mode to another? That's a good question. Lots. Firstly, I think I just showed you there, you could be in suggest mode, you could be over here in per scale, and you can just start switching keys. There's a great, lots of modulation sources online, but you can be in the modulation page and you can be switching over to different keys. and there you've got different scales showing you how to get to, say, from where I am, which is the F sharp Phrygian mode, into the A major scale, and the transition to U's. So you've got all the modulation pathways. I can actually just choose my own secondary scale, whatever I want, Phrygian mode, A Phrygian mode, and then find out, this is getting a bit advanced in theory, but find out what the secondary dominants are, falling into whatever chord. You can be in pad mode and have multiple lanes, and yeah, be switching scale. So its scale is very good for those. Can I drag in MP3s yet, or does it have to be WAV for scale detection? No, not MP3s as yet. I'd have to speak to Ed and the dev team. I mean, you know, the thing about Scalar is, I will say, is firstly, we're overwhelmed, and thank you so much for the support. I mean, it's really phenomenal, the amount of support that we've had for Scalar. But it is, you know, a $50 or $60 US piece of software, and it's become a bit of a beast. And there's so many different facets that we're so keen to improve. The internal audio engine's a big one we want to improve. The audio detection, you know, like Melodyne is the king for me, but that's a $500 piece of software. And you know, we're nowhere near Melodyne, but we're at a good level. But yes, MP3 detection will come in. So there's many facets of Scalar that we need to improve, and we will do. How about editing 8-string to the guitar, adding 8-string to the guitar view? Good question. We're going to come into guitar view in a second. 8-string is not in there. No, I don't think. Standard 6 strings, no. Yes, Ed is listening, so he will almost definitely have that on his roadmap. 8-string will come. Is there a way to, in suggest mode, to make it not automatically update the suggestion to the latest added chord just to keep it on the first chord? No, you just got to go back and hit the flag. Is 2.5 update free for 2 owners? Absolutely, yes. Is there a Black Friday deal? Yes, absolutely. Plugin Boutique, that's where you want to be. Pluginboutique.com. There's, I think, up to 33% off. So yeah, this is the Scalar's not on sale that often. So yeah, absolutely great time to grab. Okay, good. So let me close this Scalar. Let me go over here and open up another Scalar. Now this is a MIDI control. So effectively what this means is I'm controlling a third-party plugin. In this instance, I am controlling Contact's Native Instruments piano colors. So at the moment the patch is pretty straightforward. Yeah, okay, and so now I'm going to ask Scalar to control it. Now I'm going to show you suggest mode again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you kind of an example. So I'm working. I compose full time and produce full time. And yeah, everything's been really full on with Scalar 2.5. So really in the last week since the release, I've been able to jump onto a couple of jobs. Fortunate that we've got a movie and a couple of video games. One's a AAA title. One's a smaller video game that required a kind of a, you know, it's more aimed at kind of kids, a bit more of a magical, nice, mellow, don't rush them theme, if you like. So I thought, okay, cool, Scalar, let's go, as I always do. So magical, you know, I went to songs, I went to cinematic, I looked through the list, I thought, what is there? Touching, yeah, that sounds good. And I pulled down the A flat major, all the kind of major keys, because I thought, okay, I want to avoid minor keys. In actual fact, if you're looking at that, it's in an F minor scale. Get in a little suspended chord, a little sus2, just to give me a little bit of variety. And there's two D flat majors there, so I pulled one here and one here with the intention of filling up this section. Okay, so if I play the section C down the bottom, which I'm now bound to, and my intention is to go through it again and go and land on the last key. Whoopsie. There, which is slightly different D major. Okay, cool. I want to be magical. I want to be kind of charming. I think that the brief was to be beautiful and charming and subtle. So, okay, I'm going to go to suggest mode because now I'm going to need some help finding some other major chords. And I'm going to suggest potentially from the D major. Now, I can go tonal, I can go per scale. If I'm going to go per scale, I'm going to say, well, clearly I want to be in a major scale because I want to keep it nice and, as the description says when I click on it, happy, light, bright, and positive. So I've already got the A flat major here. So I could add the A flat major, add 9. Then I might go into tonal mode just to kind of say, okay, well, maybe I can steer away from that scale, and might go F sharp major and might go B major. Okay, so what's my thinking there? Well, my thinking there is just to find things that I think work. I could have used everything, but try and avoid those minors. Yeah, nothing sad. Keep it all bright and positive, kids. Okay, so what have I come up with? Yep, cool, works well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come across to the piano colors, and I'm actually going to ask it to do some movement. Now, the lovely thing about piano colors is you can hold one note, and it just plays a kind of a rhythm and a motion. Holding one key on its own probably doesn't do much, but now if I come back into scalar and play those chords again. Back. You can see that movement. Yeah, I mean, really the premise of scalar is just to help you. And my background is I grew up I started as a DJ as a teenager, and became a producer. Did the touring and did quite well as a producer. But music theory, I mean, I remember when I first had to play live, I had to write the notes on the keyboard because I didn't even know where C is. So my music theory was bad until I kind of hit 30 and was living in London and joined a music production house because BBC wanted house and techno and drum and bass, and the guys there were like, you got to learn theory because you got to learn how to write in major. And my theory was shocking. And I did study theory, and I just always wondered, why is there nothing that just listens to what I'm saying and comes up and helps me? And when I met Ed, that was the premise of, me telling him what I thought and he thought the same way. And then we kind of made scalar. So why am I rambling here? I mean, the point of scalar is really, that's the perfect example. Is I want to write a nice, beautiful soundtrack. Now I've got those chords. Scalar's helped me find things that I personally would never really know because I've never been a band player, so I've never really had to play live on the fly, suspended, extended, big chords. And Scalar, without really having to worry about that, I understand that, has allowed me to use my ear and my feel and just feel my way through. And as you can see, come up with these sus chords, added ninths, and then more importantly, keys that they're so grey here that they're basically saying they're sharing no notes with the scale that you're in. But as you can see, when I play through them, they take you on that beautiful journey. So yeah, that's a really great way of using the suggest mode. I'm going to show some guitar features. I'm going to have a quick look. Okay, no questions from Joshua. Okay, so that's good. Joshua, if you've got any, feed them through. Okay, so now I'm gonna come over and pull up a new blank patch and look at Steel Acoustic. So sorry, you can see me flicking over to my other screen to make sure the stream is still working fine. And also, will we ever get the left hand chord, right hand improvising key? That's there. Will we ever get the left hand chord, right hand improvising key? Yeah, that's there. It's called Keys Lock. And absolutely, you can pull up a scale, and you can, or pull up any song you want. For example, say the new contemporary R&B chord sets. You can pull up some chords, move them down to section C. And the whole premise is that you're triggering these chords here, and you can come into keys lock mode, and you can map all your right hand to the scale notes. So no matter what I play, for example here, it sticks to the scales, but more importantly, you've also got the scale, move them to the white keys. You've got chord notes, so it only plays notes of the chord. Now what you can't see is me playing the keyboard. I'm playing the same keys in my right hand. I'm actually just going 1, 2, 3. And we've even got chord extensions in there. So absolutely. Will I ever be able to sing into scale and have it detect the pitch like 002? Yes. Yeah, I'd like that feature. You kind of can. The thing with Scalar is it's so chord based that we're really looking at chords. But Ed and I have spoken at great length about it being much better at audio detection and also detecting singular notes. So absolutely. That's all coming, yes. I think a scalar, if you think of the average lifespan of a human being, I think a scalar as being, just kind of coming out of his or her teens and being kind of early 20s. So there's a long way to go before she matures. Is Scalar 2 ever going to be available as a standalone? It's most certainly is, yes. So please stay tuned. We've got some very, very big plans for Scalar. We don't want to lose ourselves in big time development and changing everything, because I like the way it works. But clearly that so much has been shoehorned to fit the current UI that it's starting to get it's complicated. It's a complex beast, and it never was intended to be. And there's so much to it. And I mean, like any kind of software that is semi-unique, it always starts like this. So we're at that stage now where we need to think about the whole user experience and just redefine everything and make it two things. Make it as clear and obvious as it is now. There's your chord box to start playing things, but also be able to access all its features very easily. And standalone is one of those. What were your techno house DMB aliases? Well, David Carbone is something I've done a lot of DB under. Carbon Lecture, I've got many, but you can probably look me up and find me. I also do a lot of writing under a lot of different names, and I work for lots of major artists as well. But yes, in fact, quick plug, I've got a tune coming out with hi Marky, if you're watching, Marky Ledge from Kosheen today, called Nightlife, so you can check that out. Which was actually the tune play that started the stream. Can you consider developing transitions between different piano phrases, expressions? I like that question. I don't know who asked that question, but I like your question because, yes, we've got some really, really big plans that we've been working on for a few months there. Yeah, whoever asked that question, you're going to love what we come up with. You're going to need to give us a bit of time, but we've got something. Yeah, you say phrases, expressions, we've got another keyword, another marketing word, which will come up and demonstrate. So yeah, Scalar's lots of stuff to come. Okay, I'm just going to clear this state and just refer to my notes so I recall what I was going to show you. Yeah, still acoustic. Still acoustic. Here we go. I'm just going to check on the time. Yeah. Multi-sampled, they're actually not multi-sampled patches, but we have multi-sampled them to record some really nice guitars. We've played with the internal audio engine a lot to improve it. Going forward, ideally we're going to allow full ADSR control, loop point control, delays, reverb. So long way to go in improving the audio engine, but it's great. Let's have a look at some new chord sets. Mentioned quite a few. Let's go, pop ballad or bind section A. I'll be playing through them on my keyboard down here. Yeah, some really nice chord sets, the pop ballads. They're very pop ballady. So we've upgraded the audio engine and the strumming engine, so you can call up all different types of strums. You can change the that's just scalar on its own. There's no effects or anything on the channel. Let me just check to make sure I'm not lying. Yep, no effects, clear as you like, just scalar, internal sound, strumming. Yeah, it's really beautiful when it wants to be. Strum sequences. So these work really well with external third-party guitar plugins, the high-end ones. And what we've done here is this is specifically to come up with some, patterns. Now, what I really like about strum sequences is that they work. You can really contour them to make them sound really nice. So voice grouping, we've got guitar voicing, So yeah, so you get some really nice sequences in there. There's lots of them in there. Guitar voicing pretty much opens the chord. It's like an open voicing in that it moves the third up an octave, but works really well with extensions. And what I really like about guitar voicings, which I may demonstrate in a second, is the minute I pull up a third-party instrument, like Native Instruments, Picked Acoustic, or any one of the excellent strummed series, the guitar voicing puts it in the right place, so it doesn't trigger the key switches down the bottom. Yeah, so there's loads here. Let's go fast one. Let me turn Humanize on. So Humanize. And let's go to have a look at the settings. So now we've got lots of different settings here. So we can change the direction of the strum. We can change the speed. We've introduced one called beat variation, which is really nice. So what it does is on every beat will change the speed of the strum. And we got variations in there as well. Avoid lows, so that avoid low notes occasionally. Or conversely, avoid highs. Yeah, so again, I'm using the internal sound, and where we kind of lack in realism with the guitars is we don't really have a multi-sampled engine, because really what we should have been doing is recording something, the guitar strumming down and strumming back up, and giving you those alternates. But as soon as you assign it to a third-party instrument, it sounds amazing. Let me give you an example of that maybe. Even if I turn off the strum sequences, keep the guitar voicing on. Actually, let's do it another way, shall we? Let's set up a new channel here. Let's call up let's call up Scalar here, down to our old plugin boutique. There's Scalar control here, and I will pull up a contact, and in contact I will look at picked. Let's go the beautiful picked acoustic, and I can do the melody, which is just the singular notes, or I can do some of the passages. And now if I pull up my scalar, and I'll see if I can just show you both here. There you go. I'll leave contact open here. Now I'm just pointing out the key switches, which is a kind of a bugbear lots of people have. Let's go songs. Let's go pop ballad 1, and let's just bind those notes, those chords, and let's go guitar voicing. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, you can see it. See Scalar straight away popping it by using the guitar voicing straight into the right range, so it's not triggering these key switches down here. Yeah, and we've got these brilliant drop voicings too, which work really well. Drop 2s. Drop 3s, drop the second and third voice down octave. Yeah, really cool. Just the strum sequences, the guitar features, the guitar voicing, the internal guitar sounds, all new in Scalar. Okay, let me just check some questions and drink some water. Will there be a multi-track, multi-channel MIDI output from the same instance of Scalar? Yes, there definitely will be. Yeah, and that is part of the kind of overhaul. Like I said, we've got some big plans. I think most of you probably can guess. Anyone who uses Scalar would probably have some suggestions, and rest assured, either through our fantastic community over at scalarplugin.com, of which there are many amazing people out there who are constantly suggesting things, and amongst us using it in a compositional way, production way on a day-to-day basis, we know where it needs to go, and we're going there. And yeah, multi-channel. I mean, it works really well with the sync all instances, and it's nice to have that flexibility. But yeah, definitely, we've got some really big plans there. One nice feature to have would be something similar to Easy Bass's performance options, allowing you to adjust velocity, length of notes, and busyness of the patterns. Okay, so there are ways to adjust velocities and lengths of notes. I'm not going to go into too much detail because we'd be here forever, but the first thing is, let's say I was to pull these down here. I can go into edit mode. There's all types of ways I can play with lengths, timings, performances. I can go into chord edit mode. I can change velocities up here. Whoopsie. I can do all kinds of things. But there's probably no straightforward, but I like the busyness of the pattern. Yes, all coming. Why bother with internal sounds when the core functionality is so amazing? Just to come up with ideas. When I'm composing or writing, I'm just like, okay, what would a string thing sound like with a scalar, boom, there. Don't have to assign, just open, put an instrument on, go to the right performance. Yeah. And I like making sounds. That's what we've done here at Samplify for 20 years, is we make lots of sounds for lots of different companies. And we have big expectations of where the sounds can go, but we're limited by the fact that Scalar is a beast and does a million other things other than play an internal sound engine. But it's important to us. We really want Scalar to be a fully fledged workstation. I mean, that's what we really want it to be. It would be nice to be able to determine the avoid high-low amount by velocity of the notes played. Yeah. It would be nice to have a really good strumming engine and a really good strumming piece of software. Really, the sky's the limit. If we had, couple of hundred programmers and developers and so forth, we could make all that. But you know, we're really trying to, yeah, we will get there. 350p. Oh, I'm not supposed to be saying that. That's probably not something I was meant to say. But thanks, Joshua. Okay. Joshua says no worries with time, up to you. You know, we'll keep it. We're almost there. Okay, let me just show you a couple of other things. Again, this is probably my Scalar 2.5 video, but I'm going to pull up. You can see I've got something called Scalar Deep House. I think I've covered most of the functionality. Now it's just about some of the other little bits. Again, why do I like internal sounds? Well, I can go say I want to go on a deep house vibe, and let's say I want to pull up some of the new chord sets. Let's go deep house. Let's go deep house 7. So I call up, pluckety. Oopsie. That's singular notes. That's no good to me. Let's bind that area. Okay. Yeah, so it gives me straight away a nice internal sound. Let's record that. Let's make sure I've got nothing else going there. Okay. Okay, let me just pull up those notes, quantize them. Yep, cool. Now, obviously, with Scalar, we know there's plenty of things we can do. We can humanize the timing, which is really nice because it just gives us that, that kind of flexibility to just make it sound a bit more natural. Let me duplicate that. So now I've got 2 Scalar Deep Houses, you can see there. And on this channel here, I'm going to not repeat the rhythm, but just hold the chord. And the point of that is I want to show you some synth sequences. So I've duplicated that. So now I'm just, in this instance here, I'm just only, there's the duplication, I'm just playing the chords at full length, yeah? Because I duplicated it, I could have, obviously, as many of you know, I could have synced the scalars, and now I'm going to look in the new synth sequences. So one of the things we've done is I really wanted, it would have been good to show a different example here, but I really wanted sequences that are designed to go with the synths that I've got in the room, for example. So I think I mentioned one of the projects I had before is a documentary coming up, and it's based on video games. My whole life seems to be about video games at the moment, and Scalar, which what could be worse. But yeah, it's kind of more about the 80s and 90s. So what I really want, well, most of these keyboards are from the 80s and 90s. So what I really wanted was sequences that are designed to go assigned to any synth. Now, we could, for example, use the excellent Arturia V8 collection and use all those excellent analog synths, or VA, virtual analog synths. So yeah, so now if I put on one of those sequences, you can see. Now, if I unsolo, so we hear the original chords as well. Now, you can see there already that with the humanize on both the chords and those. Now, I'm just using the same pluckety sound. If I wanted to differentiate, let's go, say, substantial. Yeah, so they're just really nice. I mean, there's loads in there. Synth 13 works well too. Yeah, so for example, let's go, you know, you can make it really smooth. Let's go into sine wave. Now these are all internal sounds. So let's go back to, say, Synth 6. Yep. Now if I'm on that deep house vibe, for example, I could come back out here and I could duplicate that channel again. I could open the duplicated channel. So I've just copied those same notes down. So I've got my sequence. You know, obviously Scalar has all different types of performances. You know about the expressions and the phrases. If not, there are plenty of videos on YouTube. Check out the School of Synthesis channel for lots of videos, and the Plugin Boutique channel for lots of videos from Joshua as well. But there's rhythms, there's bass, there's melody. So I've just done sequences. Sequences being kind of more straightforward, not intending to be out and out melodic, but there's hundreds of amazing melody options as well. But let's go bass. So I've got my sequence, and I'm going to go. Let's go type bass, and let's go into the basses, shall we? I'm going to solo. Yeah. Okay, I must be pulling up. I am pulling up the wrong thing. You can see I've actually got the wrong one. I mean, let's put that back to where we were. I've chosen the wrong scaler. Sorry, user error. Let's go back to Synth 6. And let me close that down. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's what I was messing around with. Okay. Yep, okay, so here we are. We're in scalar, type bass. Yep. Yep, so now we can go through. Yep, some of the bass lines. Yeah. Yeah, so really nice way to kind of, you know, use scalar to come. Now, we've got house basses in here. Yeah, so really cool and easy way to basically just use scalar, find a chord set that works, and just expand on it by using this new synth sequences, adding bass lines and so forth. Okay, let's get some questions. I think we're kind of getting to the end of the stream. It might be breakfast time for me. In case you don't know, I'm in Melbourne, Australia, and it's 7:45 a.m. So it was Joshua always makes me wake up at 5 or 6 a.m., which is never smart on a Saturday morning after the launch of a major project that you've been working on. So let me go to Joshua, who's woken me up, and look at some questions. CC range for performance settings would be amazing. CC range. So one of the things that we do have is you can assign, you can create command mapping here, and you can assign, say, that the performance settings or the playback settings to a key, or a MIDI control or a button or whatever you want, and then you can assign different ones, so you can swap between the two. CC range for performance setting, so you can do that, and you can go into advanced. You can set whatever key. You can manually select the MIDI CC key, and that way, let's say I don't want to set up a CC key. Let's say I want to go right hand. Oopsie, went to scale mode. Let's go bass mode. Create command playback settings. So on my complete controller 88, I've got some buttons up the top. Okay, so there's one, save, and now I can go into, say, house 4, and I can, this would have been better on the synth sequences because you would have heard it, and now I can just hit, press the key or advanced. Okay. Interesting. Okay. key or MIDI. Okay. Have I stumbled upon a live bug? I don't know. But yes, you can ordinarily just assign. Actually, if I click in here, you can. Yeah, I don't know whether I'm doing something wrong on the fly or I have fallen into some kind of or discovered one of the first Scalar 2.5, well maybe not the first, but a Scalar 2.5 bug. But you can, you can put on a, say, a arpeggio, create a command, assign it as it did there, and then go to a different setting, strumming, and then create a different one. Yeah, it is working. So, and now you can see when I'm clicking my buttons, I'm moving back and forth. Why that wasn't working before, I don't know. Edward's probably watching, screaming at me. Is it possible to change the color of the Scalar UI when one uses multiple instances in one session without having to go into settings? Definitely gets confusing. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? There are lots of things that annoy me about Scalar. One thing that we have done is you'll notice that the standard Scalar instrument just looks like a standard Scalar instrument. If I was to pull up, let's say, that first instance controlling piano colors, you can see that as a MIDI effect, there's Scalar control. So we can start to differentiate. And also, if I was to pull up a Scalar audio, it will now come up with Scalar audio. So you can start to begin to differentiate the different scalars there. Okay, I'm just going to give you a little view of the studio while I look at some questions, so you're not staring at that screen. Is it possible to change? Yep. Okay. No further questions. You can change the colors. You can change the skins, but there's no really easy way. You have to kind of go into Scalar itself, and you can change skins in here. You can kind of go preferences, font size, chord items, themes. Yeah, it's probably the easiest way here. Yeah, and there are all new themes. We really wanted to spend more time on changing and giving light options, and probably it's a very small amount of people who aren't happy, but they're vocal and they are tiny, and they would probably say that things can be hard to see in Scalar, especially if you're impaired vision. I obviously wear glasses when I'm using the screen, so my vision is impaired, and I understand some of that. But the way the colors work, it's really not that easy to be able to just invert or throw up light shades. But we're working on it, and we're going to get there. So yes, I'm going to come across and look at some questions. Fire through your last few questions. I think it's breakfast time for me. It would be nice to have an editable arpeggiator sequencer. There's much more than that coming. Absolutely. We're going to have, everything's going to be user customizable is a big thing for us. Editing phrases, creating your own phrases, arpeggios, just everything expanded. Everything expanded, everything much better, and it's a hard one for a developer. And people often say, Scalars, they're this company or that company or this company. We're not really a company. What we are is there's kind of the way it functions at the moment. There's a development team and a creative team, and not really by design, but we like the way it works. They kind of live and work separately, and within those teams, everyone lives and works separately around the world, but we're always together somehow. So we want to, rather than being a company, we're really a collective of artists, and people who love music first and foremost. So we're always wanting to improve it, and the user customizability is absolutely one of the areas that we're looking at. Someone, Joshua, one of your first questions earlier on was someone asking about whether Scalar can react to live MIDI input and do stuff. Yeah, it can. A lot of people don't realize that, but you can actually play things, and all the functions work. So you can have sequences responding to your live playing. You don't have to be triggering chord boxes. You can actually be playing live. Obviously, if you're not playing chords right on the money, things can get, as in all your notes, at exactly or close timing, you're going to have problems. But yes. Can Scalar include a piano roll in the future? Yes. Thank you. Actually, that reminds me. Hey, one of the probably the most requested features that I missed before is you're in. Let's try and get a simpler, not simpler, but more straightforward. Yeah, let's go pop ballad 3. Pull them down. I'll just expand this a bit so you can see. This was in the video, but I haven't covered it today. This was hugely heavily requested, and the guitar, we've overhauled the fretboard view, so you can see a lot more on what's happening on the neck of the guitar. So initially you could only see notes. Now you can see degrees. So that's really cool. And you can also see the intervals, which is really cool. And chord charts. That's one of the big functions. Down here, now you can see chord charts that show you where to position your fingers on the fretboard. And if you play through, you can see as it's playing through, it will flick through. Sorry, I must have it on a 8 beats. Yeah, let's go to 2 beats to make it a bit faster for you. And stop and start, and you can see it now going through the actual chords and showing you the chord charts. Really, really cool way to show you what to mute, what to not mute, where to put your fingers, where to put which finger. The manual. I don't mean to sound like a smart A, but people are always asking questions and how do you do this and can you? You're not showing the door. Okay, I'm not showing the door. Thank you, Joshua. Probably a little bit late. Idiot. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. Now I'm showing the door. Okay. So let me just quickly do that again. So all I was doing is I was showing you on the fretboard notes, degrees, and intervals can now be seen on the fretboard. Now chord charts. You can turn on chord charts and you can see I've got my pop ballad 3 chord sets and you can see the chords, right? And so if I hit play, it'll run across each chord and it shows you on the guitar neck where to put your fingers, where to put which finger, labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, which strings to leave open, which strings to mute. And what I was just saying before was that you can, the manuals, we're constantly updating the manual to give you very, very specific instructions as to what things like, for example, the chord charts are doing. Okay, so I'm going to look across to questions now. Sorry about that. It would be, you're not showing the door. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Show everything. Joshua getting upset. It's late at night for him, early for me. I'll start to wind up. If you've got any questions you want to throw through, please throw them through. I'm not sure whether we're doing giveaways, but I've got some giveaways. Joshua, are you going to scream at me? Can you Joshua, can you ask say 3 email addresses for anyone that's watching that doesn't have Scalar, or 2 or 1, you choose, and I will send them codes. So Scalar 2.5 free giveaway. Joshua's probably screaming, going, "No, man, we didn't authorize that, man. You can't do that." But I've got some personal giveaways, so we'll give them away. So if Joshua wants to just collect 3 email addresses, if that's okay, or do however you want, Joshua. You just let me know, give me emails, and I'll send out some 100% off coupon codes for Scalar 3. If there's no other questions, I just want to wrap up by saying a few things. I think, firstly, most importantly, we are just super privileged for many reasons. We make something that we absolutely love that helps us in our day-to-day workflow, and we are able to make money from it and develop it, and we're able to help people. There are so many, we have users contact us who, live in a different universe to me. Artists that I've loved for my whole entire life who contact us telling us how much they love and use Scalar. And we have, young people who are kind of being introduced into music theory. We have people with accessibility issues. They may have arthritis and they're old pianists that can now feel like they can play piano again. Or we have people like me, man, who just are not natural born composers and work alongside people that are much more naturally gifted, who are able to use Scalar and compose, as I showed you before. And I guess a super big thank you to everyone that supports Scalar. And there's probably the core watching right now. Have them type in Scalar 2.5 and I'll pick 3 winners. People shouldn't post emails. Have them type in Scalar 2.5 and I'll pick 3 winners. So there you go. Type in Scalar 2.5. Joshua will pick 3 winners. Can Scalar suggest the chords live-based example on a melody I play on the keyboard, some kind of harmonizer response? Let me think about this, because Scalar can do lots of things. Yes. Well, remember, that's the premise of Scalar. So I'm going to show my DAW. Okay, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to clear the state, and I'm going to come back to the felt piano, and I am muted. There you go. Solo this guy, bring him back up. Yeah. Not so much live, but obviously, you can be detecting what you're playing. And you're in the C minor scale, and then you kind of from there, if that's your melody, you can kind of go into suggest mode there, and instantly you do have, if I had recorded that melody, or you could be in per scale mode to get the probably not working so well now because I haven't actually selected a first chord, so it's kind of just suggesting blindly. It still works well though. Yeah. Yes, that's probably as close as you get. But yeah, a live kind of responder is something we could definitely consider in the future. Okay, Joshua, I know you're 20 seconds behind me, but am I free to say goodbye and end the stream? I will get 3 winners. Joshua's going to pick 3 winners. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. Hopefully, I've helped you kind of understand the new features of Scalar 2.5. It's on sale now. On behalf of, there's plenty of us in the team, but Edouard Magna, Paul Martin, James Hewson, Thompson Fung, there's lots and lots. All the artists that have contributed, Josh Abrahams, Sean Keat, there's so many of us working on Scalar. Really wanted to say thank you very much. Winners are, let me just have a look here. The winners are FTC Audio, Keen Aesthetic, and Cleverton. Have the winners make a screenshot of them logged in here on YouTube and email the screenshot to support@pluginboutique.com. Have the winners make a screenshot, so FTC Audio, Keen Aesthetic, and Cleverton. have them make a screenshot of them logged in here on YouTube and email the screenshot to support@pluginboutique.com. Announce the winners. Okay, yep, done that. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you very much, Plugin Boutique, as well. All the boys there, Joshua, Gareth, Freddie, Simon, Alistair. I mean, there's hundreds, and all the girls there. Thank you so much for all the support with Scalar 2.5. I'm going to say goodbye. I hope you have a lovely evening, lovely morning. Thank you for supporting Scalar 2.5. Lots of videos to come, and enjoy. Looking forward to your feedback. Don't forget to join the Scalar plugin.com forum and contribute there. Thank you very much. Au revoir, as Edward would say, or ciao, arrivederci.